Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a discovery that, well, it pretty much turns the story of human civilization on its head. We're talking about a temple so ancient it forces us to ask if we've had the timeline of our own history wrong this entire time.
Okay, so let's get right to the heart of it. This is the central puzzle that is archaeologists just rethinking everything they thought they knew. For so long, we had this nice, neat story of how we got here. But what if that whole story is, well, what if it's completely backward? All right, picture this. Out in the plains of modern-day Turkey, there's a structure so old and so advanced that according to the old history books, it simply shouldn't be there. It's a true archaeological anomaly.
And this is it, Göbekli Tepe. Now, when I say structure, I'm not talking about a few mud huts, okay? This is a massive, sprawling complex of huge, carved stone pillars, all arranged in these incredible circles. It's an amazing feat of engineering and art that came about before writing, before metal tools, and even before the invention of the wheel. It's just mind-blowing.
Now, to really understand why this place is such a bombshell, we need to quickly go over the standard story of civilization, the one we all pretty much learned in school. See, for the longest time, the theory was super simple, and it went in a straight line. First, humanity figures out how to farm. This creates a bunch of extra food, a surplus. That allows people to finally stop wandering around and settle down into permanent villages. And only then, with full bellies and some free time, could we get to the big stuff, like building temples and creating complex societies. So the key takeaway was that farming was the spark, the absolute non-negotiable first step. It was the engine that powered everything else. The thinking was, without the food and organization from agriculture, huge projects were just impossible.
But then, along comes Göbekli Tepe. And this place doesn't just bend the rules of that old timeline. Nope, it takes a sledgehammer to them. It completely shatters the story with hard evidence that's literally carved in stone. I mean, just look at these dates. It's staggering. Göbekli Tepe was built way back around 9500 BC. That's thousands of years before Stonehenge, thousands of years before the first pyramids were even a thought. The gap in time is just, it's almost hard to wrap your head around.
Let's put this another way, because this is really wild. We, today, with our smartphones and our cars, are closer in time to the people who built Stonehenge than the people who built Stonehenge were to the people who built Göbekli Tepe. Let that sink in for a second. It's just unbelievably ancient.
And this is the real kicker. All the archaeological evidence shows that the people who built this massive, incredible temple were hunter-gatherers. They hadn't domesticated plants or animals yet. This is a group we always pictured as small, nomadic bands just trying to survive. We never, ever thought they were capable of this level of organization and coordinated labor.
So, okay, if the old farm-first, build-later model is completely wrong, then what takes its place? The evidence from Göbekli Tepe suggests a totally new, kind of radical story about our own past. And this slide just illustrates the whole paradigm shift perfectly. The old theory was that the practical need for food, agriculture, led to the luxury of having shared beliefs and building temples. But the new theory? It flips that completely on its head. What if the desire to come together, to worship, to build something huge for a shared belief, what if that came first, and agriculture was actually invented to feed the hundreds of workers needed for the construction project? This means it wasn't a revolution of the plow, but a revolution of the mind. People like Jacques Calvin and the site's original excavator, Klaus Schmidt, basically argued that a powerful new idea was the real spark for civilization. The idea came first, and all of society then reshaped itself just to serve that idea.
But, this radical new theory doesn't solve everything. Actually, it leaves us with an even more profound and fascinating set of questions that we're still grappling with.
Like, how did a hunter-gatherer society, with no evidence of a king, or a priest class, or any kind of central government, manage to organize the quarrying and moving of these multi-ton stone pillars? What brought them all together and kept them working on this massive project? And then there's maybe the strangest mystery of all. After using this incredible temple for centuries, its creators, or maybe their descendants, deliberately and carefully buried the whole thing under tons of earth. They didn't just abandon it, they entombed it, preserving it perfectly for us to find. But why? Why would you bury your own magnificent creation?
And that all leaves us with this final, really provocative thought. Göbekli Tepe proves that complex societies existed thousands of years earlier than we ever imagined. So if we were that wrong about this one massive chapter of the human story, a story that was literally buried under a hill, what else don't we know about our own origins? What other amazing stories from our deep past have just been lost to time?